Welcome to Marketing Corner Talks, the Business Talks edition, where founder stories become real world business cases. Today, we are really blessed and excited to be with Jackie Kasandi, founder of Kasandi Inc., a Vancouver based social enterprise committed to reshaping commerce by connecting conscious consumers to ethnically sourced artisan products from across Africa. Kasandi isn't just a shop, it's a movement, a platform for economic inclusion, creativity, and dignity, where every product comes with a story and every story makes a huge difference. Today, we'll dive into how Jackie built this purpose driven brand, what challenges and opportunities lie ahead, and how she's preparing for the digital growth and powerful new launch, which might be something there for us to talk about, some excitement.
Yeah.
Jackie, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time out of your day how are you?
Very well, Dave. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. And you have such a wonderful voice for broadcasting. So well done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Glad to share my story and hopefully see where that goes.
So let's start there. What inspired you to start this journey, to start Kasandi, and
Mhm.
what personal or professional experiences shaped that mission?
So that's a really good question. My story kind of meanders around a little bit. So I grew up in the villages in Africa. And back in 2001, I moved to Toronto to go to school. So I went to college there. I did marketing and I got interested in advertising. And so I went into advertising a week after I graduated, and I was in advertising for 5 years. But I come from a background of women who are entrepreneurs. So my mom was a secretary at a paper machine company, and she was also, she had her side hustles. And my grandmother was completely literate, never went to school, but also the wisest person I know. And she died at 107. And she had always been a farmer sort of entrepreneur. And so I kind of come from that background. So I felt like I wanted to always be an entrepreneur. So when I finished school in Toronto, I was like, I'm going to do a business plan. I want to put together a spa. And then I remembered, girl, you're an immigrant and you got no money. You zero money. You ain't going to do that. So I was like, okay, never mind. I can't do that. But I did write the business plan. I just didn't do it. And then I went into the corporate world. I was in the corporate world about 15 years. So I did advertising about 5 years, and then I moved to BC because it was way too cold in Toronto. I was like, I'm a tropical girl. Let's just move west. So I moved west. I worked in Crown Corporation. So I did BCLC, BC Ferries, WorkSafe BC. Actually, so when I did BCLC, it was only a year-long contract to replace a mat leave. But then it's gambling. So I was like, dang, I can't do gambling. My faith doesn't allow me. Never mind, can't do that. So I came out and I wrote another business plan. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do business. But my VP that I worked with at BCLC called me and she said, there's this job at BC Ferries. And she said, you should go and take it, especially because you want to be an entrepreneur. I was like, what is it? She's like, go check it out. So I went and checked it out. And the job was to be part of a team that was launching the BC Ferries vacations division. So from zero blank piece of paper to an entire vacations division. That was exciting because then I could use someone else's money to launch a business, right?
Yeah.
Their business, but it gave me a lot of really well-rounded experience. So we launched the thing, a successful business because it made money the first year. Most businesses don't make money the first year or even the third. And so it was great. 4 years in, I was like, do I want to stay here? What do I want to do? And then WorkSafe BC came calling. I'm like, ooh, I can make more money. So I jumped, made a bit more money. But while I was at WorkSafe BC, I'm like, okay, I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. Now I'm going to give myself 2 years. I really, really need to be an entrepreneur. So the second year at WorkSafe BC, I went home and I got stuff. When you go to Kenya, if you've ever been to Kenya and if you ever want to go to Kenya, there's a huge place called the Masai Market where people sell all their artisan goods. So I got stuff there because while I was in my corporate world all those years, I used to pair it with my African accessories. So earrings and necklaces and bags and shoes and whatever. And everybody would ask, where did you get that? I'm like, I got it in Kenya. So you could spend $2,000 to get yourself there and buy it for $5. Or so, and then that went on for a while. And I'm like, maybe there's a story here because at the core of who I am is to make a difference. And I wanted to support the artisans in Africa. So I was like, wait, what if I unite their stories and the stories of the customers here in North America and give them a global impact by bringing their stuff here to Canada. And so that kind of sparked the first inclination of a business. I'm like, wait, maybe I could do this. I could make a difference and also give people product that they feel really good about here that is also unique. And so 2015, I stopped working at WorkSafe BC. Gathered all the little coins I had, all my savings, all my credit cards, went to Kenya, went to the market. At this point, I wasn't designing anything. I just bought what was there. And I came, and in 2016, I did 48 markets. I was exhausted. But during that process, I learned quite a bit because I was testing the market during that process. I also met a couple of women who are also doing different fair trade sort of products and stuff like that. So we came together and said, hey, do you guys want to do a pop-up store? November, December of 2016. But in my head, I knew I wanted to have a physical store. But being an immigrant with no money, there's no way I could have afforded to have a store. And at the time, I had an Airbnb at my house. So Airbnb was a great help for me because I was renting out one room, and that one room was paying my rent and my car and my food. So then all the little money I had in the business, I could keep it in the business, which was really helpful. And so together as a group of 4, we opened a pop-up store at the Bentel Center downtown. After the pop-up 2 months ended, they left because they really genuinely just wanted a pop-up, but I wanted a store. So they basically helped me set a store. So I stayed at the Bentel Center for a couple of years. It was difficult though, because you can only open 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. And so I still had to do lots of weekends at the markets and stuff like that. So I did that for a couple of years. And then Granville Island opened up. The 10,000 Villages used to be a Granville Island. They do stuff like mine. They left, and then I basically replaced them on Granville Island. But at that point, my product had grown because I started with just what you can find at the market, but the quality isn't that great. And also the styling wasn't that great. The African colors are very vibrant. And even though people want something African here, like you can see something like I have in the back here, they want kind of an African design, but also not too bright. So I started designing the things and then getting them made, and then I bring them here. So now I've been in business 10 years in total at the moment. And it's been a really interesting experience. I have 31 artisan groups, one artisan group only, the baskets. It's 165 moms that make the baskets that I sell, and we sell thousands of them. And then the other product that I have in the store, I have from around the world as well, Colombia and Nepal and Vietnam and Bangladesh and you name it. So a big mix of around the world, but 60 to 70% is from Africa, specifically because I'm from Africa. And then I have about another 20%-ish that is from around the world, and then the rest of it is Canadian. And then so as we've grown, COVID came, as you know, and changed. I never used to be comfortable with buying online, but we all became comfortable with buying online. And that has changed how business is done, how people shop. And so in the last 4 to 5 years of being here, the business has started to transform so much that now I have a challenge on how to transition and live properly bricks and mortar and the digital life, and how to make that actually work. Because even though people are shopping online, also the buying has gone different, and we can talk about that later. But anyways, I'll stop now. But that's kind of the gist of where we came.
It's a beautiful story because you unpacked everything from the very beginning of how you were wrestling with trying to meet your destiny, which is being an entrepreneur, and how you found a way to get there, leveraging BC Ferries to get that entrepreneur experience, and then leading to these other artisan ladies that were out there and getting the store. It's just it's a beautiful story of the struggle of entrepreneurship. Like, we want to create those things, we want to offer this, but we also need to leverage some other pieces in order to help us get there. So I want to jump into Kasandi, and I want to talk more about Kasandi. What is the typical offering of Kasandi all across? What types of products are you offering?
So it goes across the board of everything. I've got leather products that I design here and we make in Kenya, shoes, leather shoes. So everything in the store is fair trade, and it's handmade, and it's either ethical or recycled. A lot of upcycling and recycling. So in my store, you'll find jean jackets and jean sort of clothing, where here in Canada, we pat ourselves on the back by taking all our stuff to Salvation Army, because we bought clothes the last few seasons, changed weight, we don't like them anymore. we take them to Salvation Army. Army gets an excess of this material. They give it to sorters and graders, and then it gets transported to Africa. And that killed the fabric industry in Africa. So what I started doing is take the stuff that has been dumped in Africa, reform it, and bring it back here. So you'll find some of that stuff here. I have kitchen stuff. So I've got wooden plates and bowls and all of that stuff. I've got blankets from Nepal, scarves from Nepal, Bangladeshi blankets, which are made out of recycled saris. And I've got it's a myriad. It's basically a lifestyle brand. You can find everything. Earrings and necklaces and rings made out of recycled doorknobs and shower heads and padlocks. And now we make product here in the store. So all our beauty products is actually done here. And some of our jewelry is also done here in the store, made here in the store, and candles we make here in the store. So it's basically a full lifestyle brand. Think Winners, but actually things that are properly handmade and properly recycled and upcycled.
So in this journey, so you're making your own products, but you're also seeking these artisans and these curators. How do you go and select the artisans and the curators? Because you talked about it a little bit before going to the market years ago, but probably that has since transformed because you're trying to also tell the stories of these people in order to bring their stories to these markets. So how do you go through the product mix of that? How do you select those things?
So the way it started is I went and I identified specific artisans that I thought might have potential. And then I worked with them and trained them. So I found the leather artisan guy. He had worked for another leather company, but only as an employee. So I said to him, if I worked with you and I designed something with you and we tested something, would you be open to owning your own business and I'd become your first client? And he said yes. And we've worked together the last 7 years. And then through him, I got introduced to other artisans. Because once they figure out the kind of person you are, the kind of things that you're buying, the kind of quality you want, they can start to recommend other people. And then he recommended someone who does baskets. I did the same thing. I went all the way, met the women that make the baskets, trained them. And I said, okay, I know we like bright colors here, but in North America, those are not the colors that work. So let's redesign things. Let's make things muted and pastels and all of that stuff. Because everything is made out of sisal fibers and they color everything using plant colors. And so we had to keep testing to see what colors can actually work because they'll get a big bright orange flower that they turn into orange color and it's bright as hell. And now we had to start to figure out and go, how do we take these colors and make them into colors that are not that bright and that work for North America and all that stuff. So I work with them, I train them, we get to a good place and then we start to roll. Same thing with the people who do jewelry. So I make the jewelry in the slums in Kenya. Like if you just Google Nairobi slums, you'll find it's one of the biggest slums in Africa. That's where we make the jewelry. And so they take recycled doorknobs and shower heads and all that stuff. They melt it down and then we design things and we make the jewelry that we make out. So out of all of that, I've ended up identifying the people that I wanted to work with, training them and working with them in the designs that we're doing, quality testing, doing all of that stuff. And then when we're at a good state, then we start to roll. Then I can just reorder and reorder and reorder as we go. But yeah, it takes a lot of time and a lot of cost. But that's a cost that I incur. I don't put any of that cost on them. Each of them gets to a good place and then I become their first client.
It's a brilliant story because you're not only building the relationship with your customer here, understanding your customer wants, needs, and desires here, then going back and being the facilitator of like, oh, let's get that created, but let's also help them build their business because the circle continues.
Absolutely.
If I help them build their business, they're going to help me build my business and the circle continues. I love it. So when it comes to customers here, how do you communicate the impact and the quality to the customers as they're coming into your store?
So we have a lot of signage in the store that talks about being fair trade, da, da, da. And then each product has a product card. So if you buy soapstone, the back of the soapstone card actually tells you the story of the soapstones. If you buy leather, same thing. If you buy jewelry, same thing. If you buy all the different things that we actually have product cards that tells people the story. And a lot of people buy the things here to give them as gifts. So that actually becomes really important. Using those cards and telling the story of it. And people come and ask, where is this from? Oh, this is recycled saris made by women in Bangladesh and da, da, da. You tell the story. So I've empowered my staff to be telling those stories. And people love to hear it. So if people come and they've been to Kenya before, they've been to Africa, they've been to these places, and they get really, really excited. They ask lots of questions. And people who've never been, they're like, I'd love to go. Sometimes they'll just ask questions about the country because they're so interested in it. And then you tell them about the product that's coming from there, about the groups that make the product and all of that stuff. The people that make the soapstone, for example, back in the 80s, it used to be not frowned upon. It used to be cast out if you had HIV, and a lot of people had HIV, and they gave birth to kids who had HIV, and those kids were discarded. And so they kind of formed a group and started digging out and taking the soapstone out, and then they turn it into all these nice designs that I bring here. They've been in existence now 20 something years, doing really good work. And so when I bring that here and I tell the story, I'm like, this used to be a group of kids who had HIV who didn't survive and decided to create these works and all of that stuff. So all the product has really good stories, but I make sure that we are branding it in a way where we tell the stories as the person is buying the product.
But it's also because you're also educating.
Mhm.
Because that's like I'm learning right now all this new product, like, and how they impacted
Mhm.
the society and how they're impacting society now. So this element of the storytelling and education is very meaningful and purposeful to the Kasandi brand. Is that
And
right?
and constant.
And constant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very meaningful,
So
very important and constant.
so now transitioning, we talked a little bit about COVID. COVID kind of put a little bit of a little bit of wrinkle in time where we ended up having to force people to go online. So you have started to create that element of that digital storefront. You were primarily a bricks and mortar store for in Granville Island, and now have transitioned over to the digital forefront. So what
Transitioning. Transitioning.
transitioning still? Okay, so still transitioning.
So here's the story of Kasandi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because a lot of the product is unique, I'll have one or two or three, and none of them are the same as each other. So because of that, we didn't post much online because I'll get one or two or three pieces, and then I post online and it's already sold at the store. We had online, but not as much. And then COVID came, and B, I'm also an immigrant, so it's very difficult to borrow money to be able to have a large amount of inventory so that you can service both online and offline. And also if you want to do online properly, you need to advertise it well or do social media well. Like you need to have a specific focus to it to actually make good money out of it. And so because of our uniqueness of product, I was like, okay, we won't put as much stuff online. We'll put some of the stuff online and that's it. So what we have online is so little compared to what we have in the store. And then COVID came, we couldn't get that much money to advertise, to do all of those things. We put a little bit more online, but we engaged in trying to survive, right? But as the years have gone by, 23 was good. 24, you started to see the big change. It's like, it's changing. Even though people are coming to the store, they're much more like, I'll have people come to the store, see something, go back to the US, and then be like, hey, I saw this thing in the store. Do you have it online? And then we're like, it's not online, but we can sell it to you on the phone. And so customers themselves started to tell me, I want that thing online. I want that thing online. I want that thing online. And so now, since last year to this year, my store used to be on BigCommerce, but it was just kind of, like a space to have, but not really doing much sales in there. We've moved it to Shopify. And now I actually need to transition fully to be properly, fully digital, because that's where my customer is as well. So we're in the process of transitioning, but it is not my strong suit at all. I need help. I need support to just, how do I digitize this business well so that I can actually start to convert online and start to make sales online, because my customer is now online. Even when they come and see it at the store, they want to see it, touch it, feel it, and then they want to go and then they want to think about it and then they want to buy it online, but it's not online. So I'm basically losing sales because we don't have everything online, and I don't have a proper digital strategy and the funnels to make sure I can email and do, all the good fun things you need to do to be successful online. I don't have any of that base. I basically need support to get that to work. Beyond that, because so we had COVID, we were just starting to survive COVID. We were just starting to see the light in 2023, 2024 started to go down, and then tariffs have come and killed the business basically. And so because of that, we desperately now need to be online, because now even the people that are coming in, they're more comfortable now buying online because they don't want to buy anything, because they think when they go back to the border is going to tell them to open their bags and then they're going to be charged a tariff, which is not true. So there's that impact as well. But beyond that, for me, specifically for Kasandi, the organization as a social enterprise. I also want to move more into wholesale, which also needs a portal online to be able to do that. But remember that story I told you about the clothing that gets dumped in Africa? So we are setting up a project. It's called the Kasandi Circular Economy Initiative. And what we want to do is I want to intercede and stop any fabric from leaving Vancouver. Everything we have here needs to stay here. So the things that can't be donated and can't be mended and all of that stuff, we want to take it. We want to shred it and turn it into construction material. And then we can use it into construction so that we're keeping all fabric here. So we don't have to go and dump anything in Africa or any of that stuff. Anything that can be sold should be sold here. If it can't be sold and can be reused, let's actually turn it into stuff. That's going to be a massive, nice, interesting project. And that needs a really good digital presence to be able to work. Yeah. So anyways, that's a little bit of my digital world.
Well, it's interesting because I want to go back. You said you transferred from BigCommerce into Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are you using Shopify for your entire in-store and online element, or are you just using it for just the online presence?
Just for the online presence. I considered
Okay.
using it for the store, but I haven't done that yet. And I liked
Mhm.
having BigCommerce, to be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of Shopify because Shopify is subscription based and you need so many apps to be able to do well on Shopify. And it becomes really expensive. You'll end up spending $300 to $400 to be able to do well on Shopify. I didn't need to do that on BigCommerce, but I needed help with someone to help me make BigCommerce work well. But I did have that. Now I have a friend called Nadine. She actually built a website, her own website from scratch. So she's not on Shopify or the other ones, and it's working really well. So I'm on Shopify temporarily, but I don't believe that that's where I want to be. But I don't know what's the good or right thing to do.
Well, and this is why we do this, Jackie. This is why we do this. And now I want to dive into. So you said you do have an online presence. You're operating the online presence through Shopify right now. What does that look like? How are customers finding you right now? Are you using any types of social media? How are you driving customers to your web pages?
I'll say a lot of the people that get to my webpage is because someone came to the store and told them about it, or someone bought them a gift, like because they're connected to someone who's been to the store or engaged with that before, or social media. So I have a lot of followers on social media, even though I don't post. But that's because I also don't have a strategy on how to do that well. So I have a Kasandi Inc. Page. I have my own Jackie Kasandi page, and I have a Kasandi Locally Global page on Instagram, Facebook, and blah, blah. But if you put all of that together combined, I have maybe 20 to 22,000 followers, all combined. But I do nothing with it. Nothing, because I need a really, really good strategy to be able to post, because as Facebook and Instagram, once Facebook bought Instagram, the algorithm changed. It wasn't just, I could post until I'm blue in the face, and the 15,000 that are on Kasandi Inc. won't see it, right? So now you need to do videos and all of that stuff and all of these things to be able to rise up. And I don't have a strategy, and I keep doing a start-stop. I'll post now, and then I'm like, oh, this was nice, and then don't do it again, and then you get penalized for not doing that, right? So I need a proper strategy and a funnel and all of that stuff to be able to do it well. Because if I advertise well, like we make stuff in the store, just videos of us making the stuff we make in the store, telling the stories about it, would convert quite well. But I actually need a proper strategy, a proper funnel, a proper all of that digital plan to be able to do it, because our story is compelling. And once I was just making shower steamers, when customers come to the store, they will come and gather around. Some of them are like, do you offer classes? They want to do classes and all that, because it's fascinating. You can see I'm making this, and then you package, and then all of that stuff. So we have a story, and I think we have a way to make money out of it. I just need help, I think, and advice on how to do it well.
Mm-hmm. And Jackie, this is a common challenge for a lot of small business entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to manage multiple things in order to interact with their audience.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. it does take time and effort to activate these social channels, and to keep them activated, you have to post multiple times, you
Yeah.
have to build content.
Hmm.
It's a lot of work while you're trying to keep your customers happy in the store.
Yeah.
So again, this is an opportunity why we do these business cases, so that students can engage with these elements and be able to provide you with some support. So I really want to touch base, really go circle back
Yeah.
on one thing, because you talked about this new large project that you're trying to get the groundwork going
Yeah.
on. Tell us a little bit more about that element.
Okay. So it basically extends what I've been doing. So my going to Africa, taking the clothing that was dumped there, reforming it and bringing it back here is great, but it's a very, very small element and also expensive, right? Because I
Mhm.
have to buy it there, pay people to reform it, ship it here, and then sell it. So when I sell it here, it's expensive, but also on a small scale. So I thought, why not solve the problem from here? And then while I'm solving that problem, why not hire the similar people that I'm helping in Africa? So the entire 10 years I've been in business, not a single person with a visible disability has ever come to look for a job at my store. Not someone on a wheelchair, not someone in crutches, not someone with deaf, no one. None of the disability community is visible in retail at all.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah,
And then
yeah,
the other thing we have is in Canada, we have an aging population. And because of that, we have a lot of immigrants coming in who will take care of that aging population. But when they arrive, they don't speak English. So most of the time, they don't have any jobs because they don't speak English. So what if I took those two communities together and employed them in this massive green sustainability project we're going to do, which is extending what Kasandi does, but keeping the jobs and the work here, and coming up with a new sustainable way of creating construction material by using the fabric that we have here that goes in the landfill. Even the one that is donated, even the one that goes to Africa, they still are massive, massive. And I can send you the project proposal that we have. Massive level of fabric that still ends up in the landfill because we just don't have a way of recycling. Now, here in Vancouver and here in BC, we do a really good job. We have the blue bin for plastic, we have the gray bin for glass, we have the green bin for all of that stuff, we have the black bin for rubbish, but we don't have a bin for fabric waste. And so
yeah.
we keep our socks that have holes and our pajamas and our t-shirts. We try everything, and then we use it for mopping, for washing the car, and then finally we're just like, it's just gonna go to the garbage because now we can't use it because we don't have a way to recycle it. So what if Kasandi offered that? So we'll have a campaign to the public and say we want to take all your stuff that you don't use, bed sheets, everything that has holes that you know you can't donate, that needs to go to the garbage, instead of going to the garbage, give it to us. And then any excess clothing that is going to be dumped somewhere, all of it, we want to take it. If we do a good job with this project, maybe in future we can work with the city, and we've already talked to the city. They've already endorsed this project, which we're very excited about. In the future, we can have a yellow orange bin that collects fabric waste. All the fabric we have in the house. What if all of us, whenever we put our garbage out, we have a bin that collects clothing? Wouldn't that be great?
Amazing. Awesome. It's exactly what we need. And I love that you're connecting this back to providing opportunities for a variety of people. You said disabilities, but also newcomers coming into this market. Like there's so much and as you said, it's the full circle. So, Jackie, my mind's blown. There's so many things we need to start tackling here. But so we have all these amazing listeners. How can they follow your journey? How can they support you? How can they support the artisans? How can they connect with you here?
So all your audience, I believe, are students, right?
Students, small businesses, like lots of different people that tap into it.
Excellent. So anybody who has any ideas about what I talked about today that can't share, Jackie@kasandi.com is my email. Engaging with us on social media and coming to our store and visiting, or even just ask for a coffee. Like, I learn from everybody. Everybody has something that I don't know. It would be great, whatever anybody has in terms of knowledge, in terms of ideas, in terms of all of that stuff. If they have at any point, any time to volunteer. I will take any skills anybody has that can help tackle the challenges that I'm looking for. Getting us into the digital world, creating a new website for this new circular economy initiative. I'll send you the proposal so you can have a look at it. Because we have the Kasandi website, but we're gonna have a separate website for this initiative because it's quite big. It's a circular economy, it's the green initiative, it's sustainability and all of that stuff. It's an extension of Kasandi, but it's gonna be under the Kasandi Foundation. So how do I get those two things working well together? And the initiative actually realized. So there's a website for Kasandi, mykasandi.com, and then there's Kasandi Foundation and this initiative and the websites actually talking to each other, because once we start creating the material using the green economy that we're going to do, that material will be created in the foundation, but the foundation will hire Kasandi, the organization, to be the salesperson for it. So Kasandi.com is still going to sell the material we make from the foundation. So they need to talk to each other. The digital space need to make sense and all of that good stuff. So I need a lot of wisdom. I need a lot of volunteers. I need a lot of encouragement and stories and laughter, all of that good stuff.
Love it, Jackie. Let's help Jackie create that wonderful community, the full circle, guys. This is a great opportunity. Jackie, thank you so much for sharing your journey, the passion, the love, the heart, everything that you bring to it, your bold vision, and you're still not done yet. You're continuing to grow. I love it. To our students, faculty, and listeners, now it's your turn to help solve real business challenges. Here's your live Kasandi case. Develop a strategy to increase Kasandi's online sales. Let's look to grow this by 70% over the next 6 to 12 months. Let's design a multi-channel digital marketing campaign to support the upcoming product launch. Let's also propose some content and influencer plans that highlight artisan stories and drive conversions. And let's think about recommending improvements to Kasandi.com, the website, enhanced usability, SEO, storytelling. And by the way, we heard something in here too. Students out there that have an operations background, there is a beautiful opportunity here to connect both the in-store and out-store and be able to create the omni-channel experience that will allow Kasandi to grow both online and offline. So I love it, guys. Please do contribute. Let's get this rolling. Faculty, if you're teaching marketing, e-commerce, social entrepreneurship, this is a perfect live case to bring into your classroom. Want your students to work on this challenge and share their solutions with Jackie? Reach out to us at info@marketingcornertalks.com. Until next time, stay curious, stay intentional, and keep building businesses that matter.
Amen. I love that.